Ladies and gentlemen, I know many of our people want to make the claim that HARP and all these other things are controlling the weather. All I can say is you give people way too much credit. What we are looking at, this is definitely not the hand of HARP. Okay. Okay. Y'all give that way too much credit. Okay. Even these folks are calling this spring's weather biblical. It really is. This ain't no HARP at work. This is definitely the Most High at work. These folks are not going to flood themselves out, ladies and gentlemen. Contrary to what you believe, these folks ain't going to flood themselves out. These folks are not going to send tornadoes that's going to hit people that look like them. This ain't no HARP. Okay? Please don't come trying to debate me on this in the comment section. Please don't do it. HARP is not doing this. After a biblical spring, this is a week that could break the Corn Belt. Corn Belt farmers are used to being at the mercy of the weather, but they are not used to the weather being quite this merciless. Though all spring, this is April and all of May, wave after wave of rain hitting the nation's Midwest, what they call the breadbasket, with April capping the wettest month on record. April was the wettest month on record in the Midwest, y'all. In 12 months, this past April was the wettest month for the continental United States. The past 60 days in particular could have coincided with planting season in much of the country. So because of all the flooding in the Midwest, they could not get things planted on time. So, which pretty much kills the corn, and not only the corn, but soy for this season for many of these farmers. So they're showing you where the majority of the corn and soy states in the country. And, I want you to think about this. Even if they were able to grow this corn and soy, this is what they sell to China. Because of the trade war that Trump got going on, these farmers can't even sell that to China anymore. And China was their biggest customer. So even if they were to plant this stuff and grow it, they would have to figure out who they were going to sell it to. China is no longer their customer. They buy this from other countries now, when they used to buy it for many decades strictly from the US. But China cut these farmers off a year ago. So, even if the weather didn't come, they were pretty much screwed. States across the Corn Belt led the way, nearing or breaking previous precipitation records. Midwest cities from St. Louis to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, have reported unprecedented rainfall. Data for May will be released later this week and can be expected to set more records. Recent measurements show most of Illinois' famous topsoil are most waterlogged. Okay, so when the soil is waterlogged, y'all, you can't plant in that, you can't plant in that soil. Okay, which means it has so much water, it can't even hold, the soil can no longer hold the water. There's so much water in it. So there's no planting in that kind of soil at all. You're not going to grow anything in it. Then, okay, so it's more waterlogged than they have ever been. University of Illinois Economist Scott Irwin said, boy, the name Scott is coming up a lot today, isn't it? Must be something to that. Farmers cannot plant in that muck. It fouls their equipment and strangles their seeds. Exactly. You can't plant in waterlogged soil at all. Even if it was just in your backyard, you can't plant in that. It's not enough for the rain to stop. The soil has to dry for as much as a week before they can plant again. And, the weather has been so they can't even go a week without rainstorms. So the soil never gets to recoup itself by drying out. According to the latest forecast from the National Atmospheric and Oceanic Administration, that does not look likely. Wow, precipitation data shown only on land that grows corn and soil. So they're showing you the states right here. Sorry, y'all. Somebody came to the door. I'm always interrupted when I get into doing this. It should have been prime planting season in most years. Almost every corn seed would be in the ground by now. They literally have nothing in the ground. So these farmers are pretty much screwed for 2019. You got to get soy and corn in the ground in the spring. You cannot wait until later in the year. It's actually useless by then. You're not going to get the crops that you're looking for. This is not like most years. As the calendar ticks towards the point of no return, new data released Monday shows farmers have planted 67% of the acres they had planned to put in corn. In key states like Illinois, 45%. So they're below that 67%, 45%. In Indiana, 31%. It is even lower. So you see the corn process and you see the states' corn planting progress. Wow, they are not going to see anything like this. When Sherman Newland surveys the 2,250 acres he farms near Hudsonville, Illinois, he can still see standing in water. It feels like a reoccurring nightmare. Farmers provided drainage and struggled to prepare the soil for planting, he said. And then it rains and you're back to square one. If we get another big rain, it's over, Newland said. Look, look at this corn, y'all. You know, when corn is in this kind of water, it's not going to make it. It's not going to make it. This crop is, they'll be lucky if they can get 10% out of this. Planting season is more loosely defined than you think. Farmers are resilient and commodity markets are responsive. Planting in June is so absurd that Midwest universities typically don't even test dates that late when determining optimal growing season, Irwin said. But if fears of a bad crop spread and corn prices rise enough, they are already up about 20% since their mid-May low. Some farmers will plant late crops, even if they are likely to harvest far less per acre. You can't even talk that with these kind of floodwaters, y'all. And you know how tall corn plants grow? Wow. Yeah. I mean, Even under the most generous definition, much of the Corn Belt has only one Hail Mary planting window left. The coming week's weather will make or break this year's crop. And yes, they got more rain coming this week. I was looking at the weather. They have not gone 1 week. I mean, I was doing stories last week where it was saying they went through 15 days in a row of storms in America. And I know we got rain every single day here in my state. And this is not the Corn Belt, but we got heavy rain pounded on for several days in a row. In fact, we're supposed to get some today. Wow. So, as a farmer who is also a full time commodity broker, Newland has a unique perspective on these calculations. He has watched his clients scramble all spring amid the relentless push and pull of weather and markets. They shift contracts, skip fertilizer, and swamp out seeds to make it work. But according to Newland, the weather always wins. It sure will. Wow. So, according to this chart, it's showing you when it's suitable for planting week by week. So, it's showing you the full month of May when they should have gotten plenty of their planting done. The unplanted acres of corn are unprecedented, but those who focus exclusively on planting may underestimate the problem. University of Wyoming ergonomics Andrew Nitz said, after the weather this wet, much of what has been planted will likely need to be replanted. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, this corn ain't gonna make it. Not sitting in this continuous water around the clock and then more rain on top of it, this ain't gonna make it. They're gonna have to replant this entire crop right here that you're looking at. I do gardening every year, and I'm telling you, they're gonna have to replant this whole thing if they're able to do it. Because right now, the weather is not permitting them to do it. With 600 out of 1,200 corn acres planted, you would think Newland was one of the luckier ones, but he said he will need to replant at least 240 of those. Yeah. I mean, just look at this. The bones of a fish lie in the fields destroyed soybeans near Omaha in March. Wow. Look at that. Those are supposed to be soybeans right here. Look at the shape the soybeans are in Illinois. Oh, this is Omaha. Sorry, Omaha. Look at these soybeans. The soybeans are not supposed to look like this, y'all. Look at this stuff. And this is the result of it being underwater. They can't, they're pretty much screwed this year on the soybeans. Farmers could switch to soybeans, but then they would find themselves even more exposed to President Trump's trade war with China, the world's largest soybean market. And beans face many of the same planting issues as corn, Newland said. But the alternative is to bow out and collect crop insurance. Well, at least they got something to fall back on. So they're screwed as far as planting is concerned, but they can fall back on the good old crop insurance. Sure isn't this way for the black farmer. They sabotaged their seeds back in 2018. And this was done, ladies and gentlemen, this flooding without any sabotaging. I want you to always remember that. Nobody sabotaged these farmers, but look at what happened to them. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. This is deep. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.